Hello, Amsterdam. This is your film show. Welcome. If this is your first time here, we are the Amsterdam Film Show, and we talk about film in Amsterdam. New releases, old releases, and
sort of what to watch.
Right now. What's up here? So you're listening to a new voice in this show. If this is not your first time, but here with me is Elliot Bloom. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to introduce Elliot in a bit, but the first I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Spike Lee's work in the build-up up to his new film, Five Bloods, and the re-release of Do the Right Thing, which is playing right now in the Eye, right?
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cinemas in Amsterdam, I watched it at Criterion. I know it's been shown at the movies and the Old Kijk.
Right, I saw the poster just last week in Lab 111. We're going to explore black cinema, films, documentaries to watch to gain better context of what is happening around the planet right now.
Yeah.
We have some picks, and we will have... did you watch The Wild Goods Lake?
Yeah. Well, okay. I got to see it before cinema shut down, actually. So, and it's a favourite of mine, so I'm definitely going to be...
Okay, we had the press screener link, but I failed to watch it. I watched something else instead. But anyway, Elliot, you are clearly not Dutch, as we can hear. Where are you from?
I'm from the UK. I'm from Bristol, who as a city was also in the news recently with everything going on. I don't know if you saw, but they took down a statue of a slave trader and it made national...
Oh, yeah, that it was close to like a river or something.
Yeah, and they threw it in the river. So that's my hometown. Quite proud at the moment because of that. But yeah, I'm here in Amsterdam. I'm studying film. I'm doing a master's in film studies, which is more the theory side of it.
All right.
Yeah. Just finishing my thesis, actually. So trying to...
What's your thesis about?
Fashioning rebellion in French New Wave cinema, and sort of how they use clothes as well as the fabric of the film and spaces within film to fashion a rebellion, because the movement itself was a rebellion, but also everything that preceded, that followed after in French society sort of wasn't predicted, but was indicated that there was a possibility of that happening in the French New Wave. Well, that's my argument anyway.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. For if anybody wants to know, or like a clear example of French New Wave, go and dive into the filmography of Jean-Luc Godard.
Of course.
That's like the best example. I noticed that your laptop has a sticker that says "Keep Bristol Weird."
Yeah, just trying to advocate Bristol.
Fuck yeah, man. Anyway, we're also... Oh, yeah. What's your film taste like? Let's see how... I'm the horror guy. I like a little bit of everything, but what's your go-to film?
That's a good question.
I don't want to say genre, because just like encapsulating everything into genre.
I'm not a genre person, but I think I go through phases of watching different country cinemas. So I went through a phase of watching Italian cinema, sort of the neorealism. I did German expressionism. Obviously now I'm doing French New Wave. I think, I don't know what I do love a lot of black cinema. Like some of the films we're going to be discussing, these are films that have been released recently that I think are some of the best films of of the last decade, and if not the 21st century.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm really excited to talk about all this. By the way, I'm so sorry that I didn't let you know, but that powerful track that we started with is called The Kaepernick Effect, and it's by Jag. I think the theme today is going to be Black Lives Matter, and not just because of what happened in the US, but how this awoke something in the entire planet.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily delving into the politics of it. It's more how our audience can sort of better inform themselves through cinema, because there's so many great films and documentaries that sort of give you a greater perspective of everything that's been happening in the past and everything that's happening now. Exactly.
Cinema is kind of an archive of history, and it's a way to remind you the experiences of other people. And Spike Lee is a great way to begin.
Yeah. I mean, all his work is dedicated to race relations and the depiction of black people.
And this film, the quick two-liner plot is: on the hottest day of the year, on a street in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, everyone's hate and bigotry smolders and builds until it explodes into violence.
Yeah. Interesting fact, actually. The reason why the hot weather is such a strong theme in it is sort of based off Alfred Hitchcock's TV series Shopping for Death, where the main characters discuss this theory of whether weather or hotter weather increases the chances of violence, which is something he explores within.
That's really intense. Yeah. This is Alfred Hitchcock Presents, right? Like this kind of Twilight Zone-y series that he did back in, I don't know, like 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Great series. I wish it was on Netflix. But I know that like if you go in the illegal
there's
websites,
always a way to find it.
Yeah, there's always a way to find it. Check it out. It's really good. It's completely different from Twilight Zone, but it has that Alfred Hitchcock feel to it. Anyway, so Do the Right Thing. Talk to me about that movie.
So I saw it for the second time at Criterion last week, which firstly, it was really nice to be back in cinemas. I don't know if you've been yet, but for me...
Well, yeah, I went twice already last week.
I kind of like the experience of there being less people in the cinema.
Yeah, me too. I don't know about you, but I'm actually pretty used to going to the cinema by myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I usually go like around noon, around 11, and the theater is always like super empty. A couple times it's been just me watching. For example, I went to see Rear Window from Alfred Hitchcock in Rialto last year, and it was just me.
Oh, wow.
So these kind of things of, just not a lot of people in it feels familiar.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, it is refreshing.
Yeah.
There in Lab 111, they have like the first row is open, the second is closed, the third is open, the fourth is closed. And, but there's like my favorite seat, which is the fifth row right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's available. So that's always my seat. So, yeah. So I always go sit down. And the first time that I went, it was on June 2nd. And I went to see Shoplifters, this Chinese movie. And I sit down, and then this girl comes, and she sits like directly next to me, 2 seats apart. And I'm like, really? Okay. But it is the best row.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
So I've been to Criterion, I've been to Lab, and I've been to the Eye. And
how is the Eye?
Yeah, it's actually, that row where you have more area for your feet. That's where I sit all the time, and it was quite nice. I saw Le Mépris by Jean-Luc Godard.
Yeah.
It feels weird because it's such a bigger venue than most places, and it's obviously noticeably empty.
Was it in the first one?
Yeah,
I1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is massive.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that I really enjoyed. But anyway, with Do the Right Thing, saw it at Criterion, and the second time I watched it just complicated things more for me, because so the whole thing is Mookie, who's played by Spike Lee, the main character. He delivers pizzas for this Italian pizzeria, which is run by Sal and his 2 sons, which are 3 Italians in this black neighborhood of Brooklyn. And throughout the film, there's sort of conflicts or confrontations between different minority groups. So you have the Korean family who run a corner shop, then you have the Puerto Ricans who live on the same street, and then at various intervals you have white males entering the neighborhood and sort of provoking reactions from the black community. Just
a excellent example of the mixed pot that is New York, or to be honest, Amsterdam as well.
Yeah, and Mookie's constantly reminded, or there's subtle cues throughout, to do the right thing, but it's never clear cut what doing the right thing is. And basically at the end, so Radio Raheem, who is notorious, he just walks around with this huge radio playing "Fight the Power," which we just heard by Public Enemy, and it causes aggravation from Sal, who runs the pizza, because he enters the pizza shop with the noise blasting out. And basically at the end, there's a confrontation between him and Sal, as well as this other character who's demanding for black figures to be up on the wall rather than Italian figures, famous people, just because they're in a black neighborhood, so they should recognize that it's the black community they're serving for rather than the Italians necessarily, which is obviously a dialogue in itself, who's right, who's wrong. But anyway, so Radio Raheem ends up fighting Sal, and it ends up in this massive brawl, and the police turn up, but they take Radio Raheem off Sal, but then they're choking him, just like we've seen with George Floyd.
Yeah, it's crazy how this film is from 1989.
Yeah.
Like, were you born then?
No.
Well, I was 1 year, but 1 year old. But it's crazy how a film from 1989, from a kid who grew up in Brooklyn, I think is where Spike Lee's from.
Yeah.
He made a movie that today in 2020 is more valid than ever.
Yeah, so he actually made a 2-minute short film which he posted on Twitter, which links Radio Raheem's death with George Floyd and I can't remember the name of the other man, but the other man that was choked as well. Sort of showing how it's the continuation of this sort of police brutality.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, but so basically after that, there's all this people, the community's in disbelief and they don't really know what to do. They're waiting around, and then Mookie decides to throw a garbage can into Sal's pizza window, and then everybody ends up destroying the pizzeria. And it's sort of a symbol, obviously symbol for wanting to destroy these institutions or to destroy these buildings that sort of sustain these racial tensions. And Spike Lee actually said there's a difference between white people who ask him about this film and black people, and that white people always ask him, so did Mookie do the right thing, or what was the right thing that did Mookie do the right thing? And he said for black people, they know already, they don't need to ask that question. And for me, having watched it, I don't think it is about necessarily knowing what the right thing is. It's showing how complicated these situations are and how easily tension can be amounting to violence because there isn't any external factors trying to help. And so you're just letting these different classes of people, these different ethnic minorities of people clash in a way where they're not having any help from the outside. And then when help is needed, they just add further violence to it, which just complicates it further. And it's very powerful, especially within the context of today.
Yeah, exactly. So right now it's the perfect time to go to the cinema. If you haven't been to the cinema since the limitations were lifted, it's the perfect way to start. It's super. How did you put it right now?
I can't
I don't know. I just think of the Spanish word vigente, which means that it's still pretty...
very relevant.
Very relevant. Thank you. That's the word that I was looking for. So it is a way to kind of like merge both of the situations that are holding the world hostage at the moment, which is one, the pandemic, and two, this race movement that is finally... that it seems that it's finally going to do some change. Hopefully. So go back to the cinema and going up to Lee's filmography. Very recently we got Black Klansman.
Yeah, which is when he only just actually got an award from the Academy, where he won.
After many nominations.
Yeah, he's been nominated for most of his films, and the funny thing is, most of his films sort of all explore the same themes and genres, and is highly
political filmmaker,
and like the fact that all of these films are still relevant today isn't, while it's obviously a testament to the quality of films Lee makes, it's also just a damning critique of how society hasn't progressed. It's weird that it took till Black Klansman for him to finally win an Oscar.
Well, it's especially with during the term of presidency of Trump, and at the ending of the movie, it's a direct. It's not subtle.
No, it's a direct.
But it's a fuck you to Trump. Black Klansman is also going to be on Cineville, so it's also going to be in a couple of cinemas. I don't know if it's going to be this week or the next, but definitely keep a look on it. It's from 2018, written and directed by Spike Lee. It has Denzel Washington's son, playing Stalworth, and Adam Driver, who they both kind of play the same character in a way. And it's about this policeman, black policeman, played by John David Washington, who passes by a white supremacist over the phone to try to infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan. And when he gets accepted into a Ku Klux Klan, then Adam Driver has to pretend to be the physical person.
Yeah, right.
And Adam Driver plays a Jewish cop. So it starts really funny. It starts off like a hilarious movie, but then it has several oh fuck moments for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ending is perfect because that completely switched the mood or the feel of the film, because by tying it in with reality, you're then confronted with how present an issue this still remains. Yeah,
it confronts you and says, like, okay, this is funny, this is fiction, but now it's not really fiction. Here's the reality aspect of it. And that is incredible. And I think it's also based in a real story, right?
Yeah.
Or did I just make that up?
No. So it's based on a guy called Ron Stallworth, who is also... So he won Best Oscars for adapted screenplay, which was adapted from Ron Stallworth's memoirs of this event of him infiltrating the Ku Klux Klan. Obviously, some of it's fictionalized or exaggerated because of the film, but yeah, it's quite remarkable, the story.
Yeah, the perfect time if you miss the cinema and you want to get yourself a little bit of education on Black history.
Yeah,
go see these movies by Spike Lee. Podcast Amsterdam. Anyway, so Childish Gambino, great musician, great rapper, but amazing writer, amazing director, amazing producer and actor.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying how talented he is.
It's quite depressing. You see how productive he is in every facet possible.
Well, he was writing for 30 Rock.
Oh, really?
When he was like 17 or something like that. And that is how he got into Community, which is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
Really? I like the first 3 seasons, and then after that,
actually, it's funny you should mention that, because on season 4, Dan Harmon was fired. So the show kind of turned... and on season 5, he came back, but he couldn't like fully rescue. There's some good episodes on season 5. And then season 6, it was just necessary because of their ongoing joke of 6 seasons and a movie. Okay. So hopefully, hashtag and a movie. So yeah, Donald Glover, after this, he went to win Grammys and everything. And then he made what it has been considered to be the new Twin Peaks, in a way. The Black Twin Peaks. Yeah. Some people would call, and we're talking, of course, of Atlanta, which is an American comedy drama television series created by him, Donald Glover. It premiered on FX in 2016, and it has been renewed for a 3rd season. So, first and second season, like, watch them as soon as possible, because it's not a lot of episodes, and they are... I think it's 22-minute episodes, and it gets very real. It gets very surreal. Yeah. It gets very funny, and it gets very depressing, and it can be all in the same episode.
Yeah, and it explores the life of a growing rapper, or a local rapper within Atlanta.
Paperboy.
Yes, played by Brian Tyree Henry. And then Donald Glover plays his cousin, Ernest Marks, who's a college dropout trying to...
Yeah, underachiever.
Yeah.
This guy. Oh my God. He's so depressing. He himself is like a kind of like a character from a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah. And it's him like trying to manage Paperboy's rap career and sort of help him get off the mark. But yeah, you sort of see the troubles they're faced with whilst within a sort of deprived community or deprived society that they're faced with, and sort of the struggles of trying to get out of it.
Because they live in kind of like the slum suburbs of Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, even when Paperboy gets his own house with, is pretty basic.
Yeah, because he's making bank and and everything. But he's a pretty basic house in kind of a rough neighborhood. Yeah. His best friend is a kind of a drug dealer played by Lakeith Stanfield. Who makes a fantastic character, a fantastic performance. And do you remember this part when he thinks that the Florida Man is a thing?
Yeah.
Because of all the headlines in the newspaper said like Florida man slept with a crocodile, Florida man punched a beaver. He thinks it's this same guy that's called the Florida man.
Yeah, it's a great running joke.
Between that and my favorite episode, which is a Teddy Perkins show, where when Lakeith Stanfield, his character, wants to buy a piano that all the keys from the piano have a different color.
Yeah, is this the one sort of there's ties to Michael Jackson?
Sort of, yeah, because he goes to this really weird house of this guy who lives alone, and he opens the door, and it's this really strange person that in the end credits was credited as played by himself.
Yeah.
And then he came to the Emmys, I think it was. And then a while after that, it turned out that it was Donald Glover on makeup. and that while they were shooting this, he stayed on character the whole time. He's such a creepy character.
Yeah.
That episode alone is a fantastic horror, suspenseful short film.
Yeah.
I recommend it to everybody who knows. But talking about Lakeith Stanfield, we also want to recommend you Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, which is being shown at the Eye, and probably one of my favorite films of the last 10 years or so.
Please watch it if you can on a big screen, because to be honest, I watched it on unreliable resources.
Oh, really?
And I really regret it. I really hope that I watched it on a big screen. And since it's at the Eye, I'm definitely going to go see it.
Yeah. So it came out in 2018, first released in America, and it took a year before European distribution companies wanted to pick it up.
Yeah, that's why I saw it.
It's made by Boots Riley, and it sort of explores. It's a satire and a dark comedy of the current capitalist system and its sort of racist structuring, and it explores this black character, Lakeith Stanfield, called Cassius Clay. And
Cassius Clay, by the way, is the name of Muhammad Ali.
No, Cassius Green. Sorry, not Cassius.
Cassius Green.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry, that's why I'm getting them confused.
Still small trivia.
He becomes a telemarketer and is sort of having to adopt a white voice in order to succeed. And
I remember this. Yes,
it's ridiculous, and it's sort of his rise and sort of what he leaves behind, his identity that he leaves in order to sort of survive or sustain his life within this system. And then the final third is so absurd. But
it's super absurd, but you're right. It's this overnight success.
Yeah.
And when there's a shit lot of money involved, you see how it's consuming even for this character who at the beginning you think that his moral compass is kind of this way.
Yeah.
But after all these happen, you realize that he is a completely different person.
Yeah.
And then he goes through this cathartic process of trying to figure out who he is after what he's become. In the middle of that, there's this really batshit crazy stuff going on.
Yeah. With, what's his name? Archie Hammer. Is that his name?
Sorry?
Archie Hammer?
Army Hammer.
Army Hammer. Yeah. Who sort of they operationalize labor by creating. I don't know whether we should say it or should we say.
It's kind of they want to make kind of homegrown lab workers.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it takes such a weird turn, man.
Yeah, it does. But so that's where, for a lot of critics, it lost them, or they say that was its downfall. But
I don't get that.
No. It's the complete opposite. And I actually wrote a paper on this and gave a lecture back at my old university where I linked Sorry to Bother You and Black Klansman to this new movement of Afro-Surrealism, or this resurgence of Afro-Surrealism, and sort of how they're trying to depict the current neoliberalist capitalist system for what it is, but exposing how absurd the reality we currently lived in, that's propagated to oppress black people or people who aren't white, to expose them for their labor, exploit them for their labor, while other people can thrive off that.
Yeah.
It's the surrealist aspect is there to expose, sort of try and confront you with the reality we faced and how absurd it really is.
Okay, let's try something. Is there a way we can provide a link to that paper? If anybody wants to watch it, because it's true. It's kind of like a new wave of cinema, and it's really interesting how every so often in a generation a new movement comes in. That is one example. The other example is what other people are calling high class horror.
Okay.
Like Hereditary and those things. It's really cool how currents like this form, mostly to tell something, to tell an idea, and it deviates from the just entertaining part of cinema.
Yeah, exactly. So with Black Panther, which is also being shown at the Eye, part of their Black identity season.
Oh, Wakanda Forever?
Yeah. That was expected to launch an Afro-futurist movement, which sort of looks to the future or creates a future that's embedded within black people, or it's dictated by black people in a way.
The only problem I see with that is a black movie as a film, as a Marvel film. I don't think it's that good.
I mean, I've never seen it just because I hate Marvel films.
I watch all of them. I have with my mates. Every time that there's a Marvel movie, I go with the same two guys to smoke a joint, crack a beer, and watch a Marvel film. And to be honest, they are very formulaic movies, but every once in a while, there's a few that will surprise you.
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Deadpool. It's not part of the MCU, but part of the MCU. I think my favorite would be Thor Ragnarok.
I think I've seen that
from Taika Waititi. Which just thinking that kind of director can make a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. But when it comes to Captain America or Ant-Man or Avengers, I mean, Avengers Endgame, it's just a culmination of 15 years of films. So it is a great closure, directed actually by the Russo brothers, who were part of the guys who made Community what it is. And they actually got the gig to direct Captain America Civil War because of the paintball episode.
That's good trivia.
Yeah, it's good. Great trivia, right? So it's cool because now in the future when we discuss Marvel, there's going to be 2 different points. But they're just entertainment, and Black Panther is way too formulaic. It didn't really bring anything special to the character, but where Black Panther really shines, it's in the later Avenger movies, I think. And a nice futuristic sci-fi current for black cinema would be amazing.
Well, so my point with it is why Afro-surrealism has sort of taken over is because you can't really imagine the future without exposing what the current reality is. Because until now, people have been sort of blind or asleep to how racial the social structuring can be. And so only by exposing that can you then create a space to conceive of these post-capitalist spaces that are sort of led by Afro-tourist movements. So that was my point with that.
Oh, okay. Well, great.
But we'll link. I'll put a link to the paper as well.
Put a link to the paper, and also like black directors that are creating new currents is of course Jordan Peele with his black horror cinema is also extremely political. So if you get a chance, go see Get Out, which is coming back to cinemas, by the way.
It's also at the Eye.
At the Eye, and I don't know if Us is going to come back,
I don't know.
But if you come, go see it. And I love that moment from Get Out at the very end. Spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen it, I mean, come on, it's been years. When you see the police car lights, and you right away assume the worst.
Everyone knows. So that's a great twist.
Still very relevant for today. Okay.
Podcast Amsterdam.
So today, as you know, we're talking about black cinema, about political cinema, and mostly focus on the Black Lives Matter movement, everything that's going on right now, besides, of course, this pandemic that's killing half the planet. Anyway, in happier news, let's talk about more movies. Okay, so we're going to close really quick on the whole Spike Lee, because we totally went off track.
But I mean, it just shows how how much of an influence Spike Lee has had on other filmmakers.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Glover and
Boots Riley. Specifically, sorry to bother you, I think it really has that Spike Lee vibe to it.
Yeah, 100%. Because you have obviously the blaxploitation movement of films in the 1970s, but like Spike Lee comes along and sort of politicizes these movies, or sort of gives them a deeper meaning to everything, which is you now see being continued within cinema today.
If you ever want to see more of a, it's kind of like a new take on blaxploitation. It's from a few years ago. It's called Black Dynamite. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's from like 2007 or something like that, but it is set in the 70s.
Okay.
And it's full-on blaxploitation. So it's about Black Dynamite, who is this super kung fu black guy who like kills the bad guys and gets the girl, you know?
Cool. Because they're obviously showing some blaxploitation films at the Eye.
Also, amazing genre to explore.
Yeah, 100%. Because like you've got Dolomite, which has now been remade into Dolomite Is My Name, which is on Netflix.
Oh.
The original is obviously better, but both are great to watch. But yeah, perhaps we just quickly go through some of the other Spike Lee films that
are going to be showing.
Well, no, ones that we'd recommend watching.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, you saw Malcolm X. Maybe you want to
Malcolm X, 1992. Again, with the Washington family, but this time the dad.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington plays Malcolm X, and Spike Lee has a supporting role in it. And it's about the Black Panther movement. I don't know. I saw this movie a long time ago, man.
Well, I think it just it explores Malcolm X's life.
Yeah, it's a biopic.
Yeah, the key parts of it. But really interestingly, the cameo appearances are from the Black Panther Party co-founder Bobby Seale, the Reverend Al Sharpton, who actually spoke at George Floyd's funeral the other day, and as well as Nelson Mandela.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But yeah, Nelson Mandela makes a quick cameo.
Yeah.
And this is the second time that Denzel Washington works with Spike Lee.
Yeah. I think they made 4 films together overall or something. But yeah. Or you can also watch Who Killed Malcolm X, which is a documentary on Netflix as well at the moment.
There you go.
And then the other one is 4 Little Girls, which is a really powerful documentary about the September 15, 1963 murder of 4 African American girls. I think it was by someone who was part of the Ku Klux Klan, and out of that it sort of sparked what would lead to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. And then obviously another reason why we're talking about Spike Lee is because his new film coming out, Defy Blood, which is coming to Netflix tomorrow, I believe. Have you seen the trailer for it?
Tomorrow, I haven't.
So it's about these war veterans, obviously mainly black men, who return to Vietnam now to try and find the treasure that one of their leaders or like squad leaders who had died had buried for them to come back and then find. And it's similar.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. A lot of the critics I've seen have said it's really good, but what's even better is how relevant, as always, it is today, because that's what Spike Lee does. And it's sort of a continuation of Black Klansman in the sense of tying the past with with the present day. So yeah, that's a good place to start tomorrow.
Right, yeah, I'm definitely going to see it. Actually, the Vietnam War is one of those subjects that obsesses me. I'm a little bit obsessed with the whole Vietnam War history. Yeah. I was there last year actually also, and it's just a fascinating story. Like the whole Vietnam War, why it happened and why it didn't end when it should have.
Yeah,
and how it's one of the most unjust wars in the history of war. Yeah. And then going to Vietnam, like after 50 years, you can still feel like it's a really young country who has had peace for 50 years after like 300 years of war with the French, with the Chinese, and then with the Americans.
It's crazy. Sorry, and finally, the one of course we forgot to mention is She's Gotta Have It, which was his feature debut.
Yeah.
Which is also on Netflix, and that's really powerful because it explores Nola, the female protagonist, and how she sexually liberates herself and sort of maintains her freedom by not sort of conforming to monogamy and what's expected of her as a woman. Which, it was really powerful when I first watched it.
So there you go, fellow Amsterdammers. Like, when we have days like today, which is a beautiful summer, windy, rainy day, then it is the perfect excuse to educate yourself while you entertain yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing Spike Lee does well, is you're always entertained.
Because you're always going to have a good time, but you're always going to learn something.
Yeah.
So you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right. So before we go, we have some recommendations to watch at home.
Broadcast Amsterdam, your local radio station, 24/7 and on demand. Or on broadcastamsterdam.nl.
Yeah, maybe we could quickly rattle through some of our recommendations.
I just needed to share the website with the world. And okay, so what do you recommend me to watch at home?
To watch at home, it'd be I'm Not Your Negro, which is on Vitamin Cineville still, I believe. It's by Raoul Peck, and basically, James Baldwin, of course.
Yes.
It sort of uses his unfinished manuscript of Remember the House. A book he was writing. I think it was mainly a memoir-based book, which he didn't get to finish because sadly he passed away at the time of writing it. But it sort of depicts his interactions and his views of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Medgar Evers, who isn't as well known, but still also an important figure in all of this. And it also explores James Baldwin's own sort of. He questions his responsibilities and his role within it, and whether he's been active enough and whether he's been doing it enough, but still at the same time shedding light on the racial injustices and the way black people are treated. And it's really powerful, I found. It's one of the better documentaries I've watched recently, I must say.
I've seen this title in all of the lists of how to educate yourself about what black people are going through right now. It's right at the top. So check it out. It's on Vitamin Cineville.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend you to watch Straight Outta Compton from F. Gary Gray.
Great film.
This is a fantastic film, but just pretend you haven't seen it. Straight Outta Compton? I've never heard of it. So this is depicting the rise and fall of the gangster rap new NWA. And its members Eazy, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre, like household names. Today,
it's played by his son, isn't it? Ice Cube's played by his son.
Ice Cube is played by his son,
and which is really weird.
The resemblance is remarkable. Also, the actor that they got to play Eazy, it's insane. It's like it's him, like resurrected from the grave. Eazy famously died from AIDS. Some people say that it's because he was purposely infected with AIDS in order to release Ice Cube from a contract.
Really?
Or was it Dr. Dre? I think it was one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah, by Suge. What's his name?
Suge Daddy? No.
Suge
Knight.
Yeah. That guy. He was this gangster producer who
wasn't he also been linked to Biggie's death?
In a way. I mean, all these people kind of knew each other, and he was this really huge guy.
I think he used to be like American football player.
Suge? I think so. I think so.
Not like big, but I think that's where he started out.
Yeah, hold on. Let me look up Suge Knight. It's Suge Knight or Sugar Knight. It's been said that he basically injected Eazy with AIDS.
Gosh,
but it's one of the theories. I'm not an authority to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, this film it really paints the picture on how these kids, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, who lived across from each other, are just like kids in a rough neighborhood trying to make music. And one day Eazy, because he's a criminal, he pays for them to record a song, Boys in the Hood. And
which is the name of another great film.
Which is the name exactly. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. But so something happens during the recording session that the rap that they hired or they hired Ice Cube to write this rap. They didn't feel it, so they had this. They bailed, and they were like, "What the fuck do we do now?" Okay, so easy. You should step in the booth. And he's like, "I'm no rapper, man." And so you see this moment of how this thing just comes together in such an harmonic way that then becomes this phenomenon on hip hop, and it becomes this movement on 100% political. And these guys, while trying to make art, they are harassed by the police. So Ice Cube writes, "Fuck the police."
Yeah. And I also think they were responsible for getting, when it says explicit language, or like parental advisory, parental.
Yeah, they are responsible for that tag.
Because loads of white mums protested or sort of,
They got arrested during a live performance. Because they were warned not to play that song.
Yeah.
And, well, if you tell some rappers to not do something, I mean, guess what the fuck is going to happen, dude?
Yeah.
Like, come on. So this scene is depicted also in the movie. They start playing the song, and shit hits the fan. That's my last recommendation. And we're kind of out of time, so you're gonna hear from us in a couple of weeks. We're gonna talk about
more generally what's
more
on in
generally.
Amsterdam.
Today we wanted to focus on what's relevant today.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. I'm Kiko Mora. You can find me on Twitter if you want. I don't really use it.
I'm Elliot. Thanks for having me on, Kiko.
No worries, man. You're gonna listen. You're gonna hear more of Elliot here. He's gonna replace Kathy, who has her plate full with all these different shows. So she's gonna leave this one to us. Don't miss the Damn Director's Cut, which is coming back.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Broadcast Amsterdam, your local radio station, 24/7 and on demand. Or on broadcastamsterdam.nl.